Welcome back. Today, in this video, we're going to be going over some sample reports. And I think it's real valuable to provide you with accurate sample reports that showcase specifically what our services offer. I'm not going to go through every single sample, but I'm going to roll through very quickly sample reports for an EFE, which is our Engineering Foundation Evaluation, and our HUD, our Housing and Urban Development. It's the Mobile Home Certificate. And I'm going to do that here because I think it's really valuable for you, the client. For you, the partner, to understand what it is your client is going to ultimately get. It's nice to go out and collect the data, but we want you to know the value that you provide to the client, most importantly. And it's part of a marketing effort, an advertising effort. If you're out in the field and you can show them one of these sample reports, it will sell a client a lot of times. Our sample reports are done very well, and they really showcase the level of detail that we provide for the dollars that you're going to be for what they're going to be charged. So let me show you our sample report. Let's go into an EFE first. We recommend that you review all these sample reports, but I want to just walk you through very quickly what these showcase. Our sample reports have the same header a lot of times in most cases that you see here. The engineer, we're going to have your client name at the top, of course, and the address of the property that we're assessing. Your logo goes up at the top left, and your logo goes throughout the report on the various pages that we'll show you. I, as the engineer, have to be listed as the engineer with my firm number, insurance information, and specifically the company name and how to contact me. And we have to put our logo on here. We try to put it under yours as small as possible. But the goal being that we are a partner to you, and we want you to maintain that connection to your client over time. If we have an agent that goes here, and then here's you, the inspector, we list you right here, and then who reviewed the report. A lot of times this is Patrick or Amanda or one of my other team members. The executive summary on an EFE, you'll see, is meant to convey information primarily to the real estate agent. Of course, it's great for the client too, but we have a lot of agents that get very confused with the wording and what it means. So if an agent or a client really cannot discern what we're trying to say, this bold text right here specifically outlines pretty much everything that we've concluded in the report at a high level. And then we specifically want you to look at these figures because they're very important for the conveyance of information to your client on the level of detail that we provide, and if there is a problem or even if there's not, they're really good at showing, especially from the foundation side, where you're experiencing settlement and where you've got potential issues in the future. I'm not going to go over a lot of the information here, but in great detail, but we provide a visual condition summary table. So we're going to take all of the information that you give us from the visual standpoint from foundation work. So you can see foundation cracks, trees near the structure, gutters missing, cracks that are patched, tiled, doors and windows misaligned, things like that. And we're going to either agree or disagree with you on your severity assessment. And it's okay if we don't agree. It's no big deal. If you call something a minor crack, we're going to see, do we agree that it's a minor crack? If we disagree, we'll put it here, and then we specifically talk about each of these things. So if we see that there are corner cracks, we're going to call out the severity of those and what they mean to the overall assessment. We do in the app ask for you to interview anyone that's there that may know about foundation work. We're not asking that you reach out to anyone that would be difficult to contact, especially with some homes being investor homes. There may be a loss of data translation, but we're going to ask that if the owner is at the home, that you ask the owner, are there any foundation related concerns that you have or foundation work that has been previously done? And part of the template obviously will be, in fact, you can see it in this table up here, it will be to just let us know if there's visual discovery of previous foundation work. And you can see that obviously by the squares that are missing in front of the garage of concrete, or in a pier and beam home, brand new beams or piers or columns or whatever that have been put in. Those kinds of things will give us an indicator of whether or not the home has had previous foundation work. This is a picture of the elevation plot. The elevation plot is one of the most valuable elements to this specific report. The green areas are obviously the areas that are higher in elevation, the red being lower, and you can clearly see if you've got a home plotted here, you can clearly see the trend, if you will. This really helps me as the engineer determine where we're going to put localized supports, fix the foundation, provide a repair plan, things like that. We really differ here in a great way, because as the engineer, I can localize specific fixes. A repair company may come in and do elevation measurements and determine, well, they're bad, let's fully pier the home, or we're going to put piers around the entire inside and outside and things like that. We can localize it. We can determine exactly where we see issues. And I'll show you tilt and deflection identifiers, and then that helps us to build a full story of this home along with the visual condition assessment that you saw from the beginning. Topography is important. So this is would be a map of, if you're walking the house, where you're seeing the problems. It kind of removes the points and gives you more of a filled in version of where we're seeing problems. And then this graphic just shows you how many times we cut the home. We're very different in how we approach this problem. Most engineering firms, if they do cut the house for tilt and deflection profiles, they'll slice the home into 2 or 3, sometimes 1, but 2 or 3 at most. We are going to slice up the home in as many ways as we possibly can. In this case, 79 profiles were cut. And so we're going to analyze and evaluate tilt and deflection calculations on multiple profile views and give your client a very, very detailed view of whether or not we're failing in profiles and specifically where. This is where they failed. So of those 79 profiles that we cut, these are the deflection failures. Deflection is a term, I kind of think of it more like a localized failure, where we're seeing small areas of the home that are failing, versus tilt, which would be the whole home is tilting over. And so these failures give us a first indicator of where we're having problems and where the slope is too great in the home, from the standpoint of a comparative approach. So, every home goes through a series of tilt and deflection calculations. A certain number of those homes have failures. And so we're able to then kind of remove the visual components, remove the points and elevations, and just simply look at where are the slopes in the home, where do they exceed industry level standards, and where might we start to think about fortification and think about establishing a fix for the home if there are failures. Tilt. If there is a comparative other elevation plot, we will plot that as a comparison. So this graphic shows in the last X number of years how the home has moved. And we're able to do that because we took an elevation, let's say, plot at the day the house was constructed. So during their final inspection process for a new build home, we took an elevation. At the 11-month mark, we took new elevations. And so over the course of 1 year, we were able to see how the home moved. Super, super valuable. And this is kind of how we keep a client engaged with us, because what we can do is we can take the elevations at a certain point in time. If at that point we don't see foundation repair work needed, or if it's not as severe as we would like to be able to recommend repair work, then we can recommend that they get another elevation plot with Noble done in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. And that will then allow us to give you a comparative plot like this that will show exactly where you've got deficiencies, where the home is settled in those X number of years, and really, really supports the defensible placement of piers on the house. So we know that when we put a pier, we're spending the dollars as well as we can to know that we really do believe this pier is needed, will be helpful in the future, and will help stop settlement. So a great graphic. And then you'll see, though this home didn't fail in tilt, but we would have provided a tilt failure graphic too if we failed in tilt. And then you'll see my seal is down here. So a 13-page report. It's got some good graphics in it. and then we go into preparing a actual repair plan. So this is an example of that repair plan. We're going to fortify with exterior piers, 7 of them on the outside, and then we recommended 10 on the inside. We provide this drawing separate of the cost estimate. So here's the cost estimate. We provide that separate so that they can kind of print out the exhibit, give it to a repair company. Sorry. And give it to a repair company and see if the pricing agrees with what we recommend. Our pricing is geographically specific, and it's as best we can do to estimate the cost of what the foundation repair will be. A lot of clients, they want to know, because they're in a real estate transaction, they may not be doing this work, but they want to know what it's going to cost in the future if they decide to do it. And so we provide them with that. We also do optional repair plans. It'll say that we're optional here. The reason being that we may recommend that they don't do work. And sometimes that is a difficult scenario because we recommend that we don't do work, but we're also stating that work is likely needed. And in that case, we'll do an optional repair plan to give the client some comfort with what repair plan is likely the scenario that I'm going to be dealing with in a few years, so that they can get reimbursement from the seller for that damage and kind of make sure that they've got a budget necessary for that future work that is likely needed. I'm not going to go into a lot of the details of the appendices, but we provide everything, all of the calculations and tables of failures and where we saw it, everything else. And then we do provide details. So if someone wants to know the difference between concrete cylinder piles and drilled piers and here's helical screws, some of the common ways to fortify the foundation, we provide kind of a detail of those, and then we attach your home inspection report to there. So this is an example of an EFE, again, an engineer's foundation evaluation. Let's go into a HUD real quick. A HUD looks the same. Now, it's not going to have the same information, but you'll see the same kind of theme, which is that we provide this standard format at the top, which showcases you as the inspection company and us as the partner company. You'll see an executive summary, which gives, in this case, it gives the agent a lot of good information. But for HUDs, the lender is going to be looking at this, and so we want to call out that it meets the requirements set forth by this specific BFMGH housing and urban development requirements, and that we're basically saying it passes. We go into details about this home, and we provide my stamp and seal. So a little bit about this, because we are going to get into this in terms of the template, but we will in some cases pass HUDs if there are some structural dependencies on the home. Structural dependencies are kind of an issue with the lender, and they want to make sure that if there is a structural dependency, that it's taken care of. And so some of that language gets pushed into here. So we will add limitations to what we're calling out. We'll add specific liability language and things, and then we provide the same kind of conclusion down here, which is that we are saying it passes or it fails, and to why. If we do fail a HUD, we will provide you with a drawing that shows exactly, it's an engineered detailed drawing that shows why you failed, why it's failing, so that the agent, the client, can go out and get the issue resolved very quickly, provide us with photos of that resolution so that we can issue this certificate again as quickly as possible. We do issue a certificate. The certificate is sometimes accepted standalone by the by the lender. If you pull this certificate out of the PDF and give it to the lender, a lot of times this is great because you're kind of removing all of the language around, around everything, and you're not providing them with their home with the inspection report. So some lenders may make a big deal about an electrical problem, for example, that's contained in this report because you gave us the home inspection, which contained the structural elements, visual condition assessment, and the crawl space crawling and the strapping and everything else. So they're going to make an issue about an electrical issue, an electrical problem, when in reality, they didn't even need to see any of that. They're not, they don't even usually ask for the home inspection. So sometimes it's good to just pull this certificate out, give it to the lender, and if they say, well, we need more information, we need the limits, liability, conclusion language, then you can give them the whole report. But a lot of times this certificate is standalone, is good enough for them. So that is the samples. We have a sample for every single thing that we offer. I can kind of show you what they look like, but this is a damaged timber evaluation. This is a defect cost report. So they kind of look the same. Every one of them looks quite the same, and they offer different information. And you should investigate and look through the details of each of these reports and make sure that you feel comfortable with what they're providing and the information that's contained within. Anyways, that is the samples, and I'll see you on the next video where we will do actual onboarding and some of the sheet stuff. So anyways, looking forward to it. Thanks. Bye.